Hello, and welcome to Making Number Sense Make Sense, a podcast for elementary teachers, specifically early elementary teachers, looking to really make an impact in the number sense of their students. From this podcast, you can expect strategies, center ideas, ways to approach the teaching of mathematics that you may not have learned in college. I know that I definitely did not. A little bit about my math history, so one might say my math trauma, because I was definitely in my brain not at all a math person. And I am sure I'm not the only one to say that or to think that or feel it. Math wasn't ever particularly my strong suit. I had one math teacher specifically in 7th grade who was, I don't know what magic he had or what he did, but he was just an amazing math teacher for me. Everything he said, I just got it. Like, I just understood it. And I was like, oh, maybe I can do this. Maybe I am okay at math. Maybe I'm not a complete failure at this. But, since then, I wasn't ever able, or I never had the privilege of having another math teacher who could explain things the way that he did. And I just kind of gave up on that. I was like, well, I guess that's just, it is what it is. I'm just not going to be that person. I need something very, very specific. Otherwise, I don't understand math at all. Like moving into high school, I needed math tutors. I was completely lost. Like it was very procedural. I just didn't understand why I was doing these things or why they worked out. And since, of course, I didn't understand it, it didn't usually work out. And I remember this other math teacher I had in high school, was giving examples of how he wanted work to be shown in a math class or on a test. And he put up my example, without my name, but put up my example of what he did not want to see. And when I tell you, that, stab me in the heart, right? Like, I'm already in high school, which is such an awkward time. I was definitely not the popular kid. I was living in a different country. I was living in Mexico at the time, surrounded by all these people who just seemed to get it. And I was like, I can't believe that this man just put me on blast like that. And then, of course, nobody knew that it was mine, but it was just a horrible experience. And I was like, ugh, I don't ever want to have to do this again. And after that, I couldn't get out of honors math fast enough. I was like, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this at all. Like if the option was available to not take any math class for the rest of my high school career, that's what I would have done. It would have been me saying, bye, see you later. This is not for me, bye, Felicia. And so, of course, in college, you have to take math classes. And I just was right back where I was in high school with this person who was just talking at me and I didn't understand anything. I wasn't building any other understanding of what it is that I was supposed to learn. And I hobbled my way through that math class and I was like, ugh, we're done. We're not doing that anymore, ever. It's horrible. So fast forward, I have been accepted into my Master's of Education program and my focus was elementary, K-5, and middle school language arts, like complete opposite of math. And there's a lot of emphasis, at least in my teacher prep program, on literacy, developing literacy, teaching kids how to read, which of course is so important. In that, I think I took one, maybe two other math, teaching math classes. And it felt very broad, very general, and focused on mid elementary, upper elementary, and this is how you might go about doing this. It didn't talk about centers. It didn't talk about different ways to get kids problem solving. It was just a very basic overview. And at the time, I was definitely all right with that. Fast forward again, I am interviewing for teaching positions, and I had the option of a kindergarten position or a 4th grade position, and 3rd grade, I think, were the jobs that I was interviewing for. And I was like, well, if I have to teach math, I think I want it to be kindergarten because then at least I know how to count. I could teach kids how to count. I feel like that'll be fine. And I won't have to worry about teaching math to these kids that I don't even understand. So that's what I did. I went into teaching kindergarten. And so I'm there, I was like, yes, I could do this. I'm teaching kindergarten. And on top of the curriculum, I guess, I had the whole other level of being hired to teach Spanish immersion. So not only was I teaching in Spanish to half native Spanish speakers and half non-native Spanish speakers, but also I only had to teach math and science. And at the time I was like low-key into it because in the spectrum of developing literacy, I hated the really, really early phonics, like alphabet. I hated all that stuff. I did not like teaching that. Like in my mind, if I was teaching language arts, it would be to like older kids and I could talk to them about books and that kind of thing and really have deep conversations about books is what I really wanted to do. So when I found out I wouldn't even have to teach that, I was like, awesome, this is what I'm doing. So I'm trying to teach, these kids these, concepts that seem really, really fundamental. And like you think everybody knows how to count, it's so easy. You just count and they get it. Well, boy, was I wrong. That's definitely not the way it worked. Like, I didn't realize that counting would be so hard for students, like, so hard for these kids to grasp if they didn't have a background knowledge of it already. And we're really starting from zero. And I don't think I fully appreciated how long it would take to develop that math and number sense. So, very quickly, I'm like, all right, so I guess I'm going to have to do my own research and get back into it because, like, I'm teaching these kids, I'm following the lessons, and it's just for some of these kids, it wasn't working. And I was like, I am not going to be the math teacher that just lets kids slide through and not understand what they're doing. And then I was like, but how do I actually teach it? Like, what am I supposed to do? And luckily, in the county that I was in, they had a lot of professional development opportunities. And one of the classes, I guess, that you could take was developing number sense. And it started from K and went all the way to sixth grade because the county that I was in, state that I was in, had elementary as kindergarten to sixth grade, which I thought was very, very strange. I had grown up K to 5, so I was like, wait, sixth grade is elementary, but that's not the point. Anyway, so I'm taking this class. It was like a semester long class. I want to say, I don't know if it was semester, but it was long. There was a lot of classes. And let me tell you, that class was absolutely amazing. It was so, so good. When I say it started in kindergarten, it started in kindergarten and really went through like what it takes to develop number sense, like not in the deep, 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 deep level, but enough that I was like, oh, I get that. And so, we start with kindergarten, we move on to first grade skills, second grade skills. So I'm sitting there and when we're talking about, multiplication and division and all of this other kind of stuff. And I'm sitting there like, oh my gosh, like, how come I've made it my whole 23 years or 24 years, however old I was when I started, and I just didn't understand that. I just didn't understand what I was supposed to be doing. I didn't understand why I was doing what I was doing. Why did nobody ever tell me this? Like, why was this never something that I had access to? I felt like everybody was keeping a secret, a math secret that I wasn't privy to, and I just got a glimpse in that seventh grade math class where I actually got it, and everything else was just like, phew. And I was like, that's not going to be me. It's not going to happen. So that class started off with some really great resources to look into, and thus started my journey of figuring out the best ways to develop number sense in really young kids. It's not just 1, 2, 3 counting. There's so much more that goes into it, so much more practice that they need, the variety of activities that they need, and I was all in. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I need to figure out how to teach this and how I'm going to do this. And since I was really starting the Spanish immersion program at my school, nobody really knew how to teach it. So, usually if you're a new teacher, you might get a mentor, you might get a help of an instructional coach. And I had an amazing mentor who really, really helped me with like classroom management and try this and try that. But honestly, she was the only, like my team was the only one. The instructional coach wasn't particularly helpful. They were just kind of like, oh, I don't know. I don't speak Spanish. I can't help you. And there was one other like math person who was super, super helpful. And some people didn't care for her because she was passionate, but I was into it. I was like, yep, I like it. And since she saw that I was really wanting to learn, she was incredibly, incredibly helpful. She gave me ideas to try. She gave me lots of resources to look into, pointed me in the direction of some really, really great math researchers who would have what I was looking for, have information about teaching math to young kids, because even now, it's not really easy to find. Like, you can find it, you can hunt around, but it's still not that easy to find, which is another reason why I was like, I want to share what I know, because I love talking about it, and I don't want somebody else to have to fumble through years of trying to figure it out when I can give you some tips, point you in the right direction, and help you like that math mentor helped me. And once I started looking into it, I really enjoyed experimenting with different things. I was reading different authors, reading different ideas, incorporating different activities, creating new resources for my students. And it became kind of an obsession, not in the crazy way, but it was definitely something that I was passionate about. I would spend time like after school, during planning, trying to figure out how to do this the best way to really help my students, because I was like, they talk about early intervention all the time. Like, I am not letting kids leave my classroom already behind. Like, being in kindergarten, I have the perfect opportunity to be on the ground floor of really developing that base that is strong and makes sense. And that's something that I really, really wanted to do. And my team, bless them, were like, all right, Lara, you want to try that? Do it. You want to try that? Do it. Or kind of a, you try it, work out the kinks, and then tell us about it, and we'll try it. And reality is, they were great about it. We definitely had lots of really rich discussions about teaching math. But there came a point where they're like, Lara, I don't really want to talk about this anymore. I want to move on. So here I am with you guys who are hopefully wanting to learn more about how to teach math in early elementary. And I'm hoping I can cut out all the extra fluff, help you design your own resources, use different resources, and really, really cut through all of the extra stuff and get to what is really going to move your students forward, and not in a boring way, not in a boring 1980s textbook activity kind of way, like something that's really engaging for the students to look at and engaging for the students to do, because that's what's really going to make a difference. So if that sounds like your thing, I am hoping that you will join me for this journey on going through and how to develop number sense in young kids. In the meantime, if you want kind of snippets or something else, I will have in the show notes a link to my website and my YouTube channel that really shows things in action more than me just talking about it. I'm looking for my people, my math people, my early elementary math people, and I am so glad that you're here and you will be one of my people too. So until next time, I hope you have an amazing day or night whenever you're listening.